guys, welcome back. Today's video is the second video in the Beauty Basics series that I am doing here on my channel, and today we're going to be talking about winged liner, which I know there's 1,000,001 ways to do it, but I'm going to show you the way that works best for me, and it's pretty easy. So hopefully this is helpful to you guys, but let's go ahead and jump right in and let's go over what I'm using first to create this winged liner. First and foremost, I like gel liner. That is my preference when putting a winged liner on. There are lots of other products you can use. You can use liquid eyeliner, you can use pencils, the list goes on and on, markers, but for me this is my choice for creating a winged liner. The one that I am particularly fond of at the moment is the L'Oreal Infallible Gel Liner. This stuff is amazing. It does not dry out. This jar I've had for probably, I want to say, few months, and I really like the Inglot gel liner as well, but that one dries out super fast and I feel like it's kind of a waste of money. So moving on to the actual brushes that I'm going to be using, and yes, brushes. I'm using 2 brushes to create this winged liner just because it's the easiest thing for me, and you'll see why. I have an angled brush and also a fine liner brush. My angled brush is from Inglot, and this is a 31T brush, which I feel like is a really good size. It's not too big and it's not too small. The fine liner brush I'm using is a 23T brush from Inglot, and it is a very fine tip on this brush, which really helps you get in the inner corner of the eye. Now before we start putting any eyeliner on, I want to go over a few rules of thumb as to placement of your winged liner. And I'm going to zoom you in for that. Now for winged liner, I generally like to start on the outside corner. You can start on the inside. It really is just whatever is the easiest for you, but this is the technique that works best for me. And if you are uncertain as to where your liner should go as far as the placement, the easiest way for me to see where it should start is to follow this bottom lash line, and you can even use something like this to kind of line it up. So where your bottom lash line is, just put a pencil or a brush and you can kind of see where it's going to continue off. So just imagine that there's an imaginary line that's coming up off your lower lash line. That's going to be a perfect guideline. Now you can also do all kinds of winged liners. You can do thick, thin, you can make it look a little more cat-like, you can really just play around with it. Once you get the basic winged liner down, you can really go crazy and make all kinds of cool, dramatic winged liner looks. So like I said, I start from the bottom, and a lot of people wonder where to stop, and that's really up to you. So depending on how dramatic you want your wing, there'll be different points at which you can stop. I usually, for everyday wear, keep it kind of short. I don't put too long of a tail on there, just to kind of keep it a little more subtle. But you can do it as short or as long as a wing that you would like. So the longer the wing, the more dramatic the winged liner is going to look. I use the angled liner brush to really stamp out the wing on the end here, and that's going to give me a really nice sharp crisp line, and then I also use this to bring it back in. Now when I get to the middle of the eye and the inside, that's when I go for this fine liner brush, because it really gives me the more control as to how I want that line to go. Now I can do the entire winged liner with this angled brush, but when you get into here, and like if you're dragging it back this way, the shape of this brush can sometimes make it a little bit boxy and make it hard to get a really smooth line. So if you're just starting, it's perfectly okay to use 2 brushes, or even if you've been doing it for years and you just want it to be really precise and perfect, go for 2 brushes. So I'm dipping into my L'Oreal gel liner with that winged liner brush, and I'm going to get a good amount on the brush. I'm not going to overload it because you don't want it to be too messy. If you notice that you get too much product on your brush, like that, it's a little bit kind of clumped up, just kind of wipe it off on the sides, and that'll give you the right amount of product that you need. So I'm going to start out by just stamping the line, following my lower lash line out towards the tail of my brow. So you can notice that there's a very fine line there, and then you can just kind of, once you realize that's where you want it, you can start putting more product. So there, it's following the lower lash line. Once I get that point in, I go and flip my brush this way, and from the outside point, I drag the brush back. So now you have kind of a triangle on the end of your eye. Now, like I said, you can take this brush and continue to put the liner on, but I noticed once you get to about the middle of the eye, it can get a little hard to maneuver. So that is when I would switch to my fine liner brush. Just dip into your gel liner, and again, if the brush happens to get too clumped up, just kind of knock a little bit of that product off so you're not getting a huge mess on your eye. And then at this point, I would go into the inner corner and just start making short strokes to connect everything together. You can use this to fill in that triangle out there, but you can also use your angled brush to fill that in. You can also use your fine liner brush to give a little bit more of a precise point on the end of that wing. Okay, so the first eye is done. Now remember, the thicker you go, the more dramatic the look is going to be. The longer you go, the more dramatic the eyeliner is going to be. So keep that in mind when you're creating your looks, and they're not going to be perfect. They're going to be different every time. Every time I put on wing liner, it's different. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye so you can see it one more time, and then we'll throw some mascara on, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so that is both eyes done, and you may have to go back and kind of adjust each eye depending on, like normally I like to do both eyes at the same time, and I'll just go back and forth between the two just so I get the most even possible application. But because I did one first and then the other, I'll just have to go back and make sure everything is symmetrical. And keep in mind, it's never going to be perfect. If your eyes are not perfectly symmetrical, which I don't think anybody's are, it's not going to be exactly the same. So that is pretty much it for this video, guys. This series is really meant for everybody. It's going to be great for people who are just starting out, who are new to makeup, but if you are a professional, you may want to see my techniques. I love to see other people's techniques and see if it's maybe something that I can adapt to my own style and my everyday use. So whether you're new or professional, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.